Oh, sometimes the gambling gods can play some cruel tricks on you, but like I used to say when I had my radio show back in the 90s, there are no guarantees in gamblings. Look it up in the dictionary. You will not find those two words on the same damn page. So after coming off back-to-back easy top-rated 15-dime best bet winners with the Steelers over Carolina on Thursday, and then with Syracuse over Louisville on Friday, I had another one yesterday with LSU at Arkansas. And listen, it has been a phenomenal 4.5-month run here for me and for you. I have nothing to complain about, and neither do you, because we have made a boatload of bucks. And I was looking pretty damn good, as were you, last night, because through 3 quarters, LSU's defense, who couldn't stop Alabama at home the week prior, was playing great. Arkansas had 90 total yards. And going into the 4th quarter in Fayetteville, LSU was up 24-3, and I was laying 13 points. But this is gambling, and you don't count your chickens before they hatch. So naturally, Arkansas gets 2 garbage touchdowns, and they sneak in the back door. But then, suddenly, things look good again, because in the closing couple of minutes, LSU just drives right down the field. And then it's first down on the 6-yard line, and then it's second down on the 1-yard line with 50 seconds to go. Hey, we're looking at pay dirt. But then Nick Brossette, I believe is how you pronounce his name, pulls what we will now forever call, I guess, a Todd Gurley, and instead of going into the end zone, he decides, well, hey, I'm just going to go down on the 1-yard line because I'm going to run off the clock. Because naturally, right, with, under 50 seconds to play, Arkansas is immediately going to march down the field instead of going into the end zone, because obviously everybody on LSU is a math major. Instead of going in the end zone to put the game out of reach, right, and get us to cover, because that's what all that matters, we go down, run off the clock, because why run up the score? Maybe, there is some still good sportsmanship involved in football. I don't know. Goes down, and that's how the game ends, knocking on the door of the 1-yard line. So listen, what do you do in those cases? You mutter your favorite obscenity, which in my case there was at least 18 of them. And you walk away, because that's how the cookie crumbles, because those are the breaks sometimes. More often than not, they go in your favor, but last night they didn't. But again, I can't complain, because over the past 4.5 months, I have nothing to complain about, because the reality is this. I've still won 33 of my last 53 top-rated 15-dime best bets. I've still won 76 of the last 126 days. And, as I always talk about, it's principal and dividends when you look at the gambling plays, because the principle is the fact that I've won 33 out of 53 top-rated 15-dime best bets and 76 of the last 126 days, but it's the dividends too. If you look at from a financial analogy, the dividends is this. Not only have I had top-rated 15-dime best bets, but I've had so many raise the bar 20-dime releases in that stretch, and I have very few small-rated plays. So the yield from my releases that have won has been phenomenal, the profit that I've turned. So you absorb a loss and you move on. And I've got another top-rated 15-dime best bet today on the game between Arizona and Kansas City. But listen, one guy who did not suffer a loss yesterday and won quite easily was Shawn Michaels. I told you yesterday he had another major release and he hit it. Second ever 150-dime college football release of his career. How easy was West Virginia minus 13.5 over TCU. Mountaineers rolling in Morgantown 47-10. He has another play just as strong today. Second ever 150-dime NFL release of his career. It's the Sunday night game between the Cowboys and Eagles. Now he just hit the first ever 150-dime play of his career, and he's a charter member of the site, 16 years plus, on Thursday night with the Steelers. You got that play for half price. You got the Mountaineers yesterday for half price. You get today's play for half price by using coupon code NIGHT, N-I-G-H-T. You get it for half price as he goes for winner number 13 out of 16 over the past 4 weeks. Keep in mind, 100-dime max wager releases in the NFL over the past 7 seasons. He has 79, 52-5, and this play is 50% stronger. 6-1 with 100 dimes in college football the past 2 weeks. This play is 50% stronger from the guy who is the winningest football handicapper at this site over the past 7 seasons, making $10 bettors a little over $19,000. And the other big play today is Chris Jordan, another charter member of the site. Today, Chris, the second ever 2,500 star NFL play in his 36 years as a professional handicapper, long predating this site's inception, going back to when this business, before 976 numbers, when it was a 976 number actually business, before 900 numbers I meant to say, when this business was in the 976 industry. 36 years, Detroit and Chicago. Normal play is a 1,000-star play. He had one other 2,500-star play. It was back in 2011. He won it. You get it for over half price off by using coupon code SECOND, SECOND, from a guy who has made $1 bettors a little over 47 grand the past 22 months. And keep in mind, $1 bettors in the NFL the past 2.5 years have made a little over $17,700. So those are the featured plays. You can get all the others over on the home page. With that being said, let's get to your complimentary plays today. Couple games that I like here today on the late card. First, I like the Chargers minus the 10 points at Oakland. Listen, early in the season, the Chargers took care of business against the Raiders, won handily at home 26-10. Philip Rivers had a big game in that one, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a game in which the Raiders managed just 289 total yards. And the Raiders were a better team then, with Marshawn Lynch in the lineup before trading away Amari Cooper. And this is a Raiders team that's obviously dysfunctional, as I learned my lesson quite well when I used them and bet on them against San Francisco 2 Thursdays ago. And they just had no fight, no spirit whatsoever. Why would I hack the Raiders today? Chargers impressed me last week when they went to Seattle and led from wire to wire against a Seahawks team that was playing well and was playing at home. And it's not easy to win at Seattle because, hey, listen, Seattle has the second best home record in the past 50 games, other than the New England Patriots. This is a Oakland team that's 1-7 overall on the season, that's lost 4 in a row. A defense has allowed 26 points or more in all but one game this year. Chargers have now won 5 in a row. Philip Rivers has just been playing great this year. I mean, he really should be in consideration for MVP. Melvin Gordon, 6th in the league in rushing, averaged 7.1 yards per carry against Seattle last week. Now he's taking on a Raiders team that is last in the league in run defense, giving up 144.5 yards a game, 4.8 yards per carry. I think you just lay the points with the Chargers and don't look back, because if the Raiders haven't quit, I'd be surprised. They've got nothing to play for, and I think they've tuned out in terms of listening to John Gruden, who's just been a disaster in year number 1 in his return to Oakland. So I like them. On the early card, I've been riding Indianapolis lately, and I'm willing to take the Colts off the bye against Jacksonville. I know the Jaguars got Leonard Fournette back. I know they're going to ride him hard today. But this Jacksonville team just seems dysfunctional this year, and it just seems they don't have the same chemistry that led them to the doorstep of the Super Bowl a year ago. From Blake Bortles not seemingly being in control of the offense to a defense that is simply underperformed. I mean, you look at the team stat defensive rankings on NFL.com, and you'll see a Jacksonville pass defense that, yes, on paper, gaudy, number 1 in terms of, and let me just make sure I've got this things here. Number 2 in total defense, number 1 in pass defense. But then I look at a team that in 8 games only has 19 sacks. This is not the same pass defense that struck fear in so many quarterbacks' eyes a year ago when they faced him. It's not nearly as intimidating. Andrew Luck has just had a tremendous comeback season, considering what he went through to get back on the field. And his offensive line has simply provided tremendous pass protection for this guy. And that's why I took him as a 15-dime best bet in their most recent game a couple weeks back. Andrew Luck in his last 5 games has had a 64.2% clip, 18 touchdowns, 1,525 yards. Great offensive line protection. 156 consecutive dropbacks for Andrew Luck without a sack. And you remember a couple of years ago when he was playing regularly, he was getting sacked at a historic pace. Because that's how bad the Colts' offensive line protection was. And the Colts have finally developed a good running game with Marlon Mack as well, with 2 straight games of 120-plus yards. Now, the Colts' defense is not that good, but is the Jacksonville offense any good, even with Leonard Fournette coming back after missing pretty much 6 straight games in a row? I'm willing to lay the Colts at points at home. I'm going to buy down off the 3.5 number, and I'm going to go with Indianapolis in this one. Another game here I like today on the early card is Tampa Bay minus the 3 at home against Washington. This is a Redskins team that, much like Carolina, as I talked about in Thursday and taking the Steelers against Carolina, Washington is like Carolina, that when you take on a team, let's rephrase this. When Washington plays a team that has an offense that can put points on the board, like the Panthers did against the Steelers, Washington, much like Carolina, does not have the offensive ability to match points with an opponent. Washington, like Carolina, is more of a ball control offense. It simply doesn't have that quick strike potential. And that's a problem, because Alex Smith is a game-managing quarterback. He was in Kansas City. He is in Washington. Washington, to be effective, is a time of possession team with Adrian Peterson dominating the ground game. Washington was exposed last week by Atlanta. Falcons came in there, shredded them, their secondary. Matt Ryan torched them with the big game. I think Tampa Bay is going to do the same with Ryan Fitzpatrick and that bevy of good wide receivers that they have with Evans and Jackson, the big tight end O.J. Howard. Now, the Buccaneers have no defense. That's proven. But I don't think in what could be a high-scoring game that Washington is going to be able to match points with Tampa Bay. I also think that Washington's going to have problems even trying to come out and establish the run, which is what they've got to do to keep Tampa Bay's best weapon, their offense, off the field, because Washington suffered some significant injuries to their offensive line in that game last week. They lost 2 starting guards, and really they've got major problems along that offensive line. They could have 3, if not 4 new starters along that offensive line. Now, that's an age-old problem for them. They had injury problems along the offensive line last season as well, and they managed through that. But I think that's going to be a major issue today, and I think Tampa takes that game. So those are the 3 picks that I really like today. Again, if I had to rank them, however, I would take the Chargers number 1, Tampa Bay number 2, and I would take the Chargers number 1, Tampa Bay number 2, and then Indianapolis number 3. The other games that I looked at today, I kind of lean toward the Jets minus the 7.5 at home, because if I had to put my money on between Josh McCown, a veteran quarterback who had great success last year with the Jets, versus Matt Barkley, the 4th quarterback starting in 5 games for the Bills, I would take the Jets. I also lean a little toward Green Bay minus the 10 at home against Miami and Brock Osweiler. But listen, the Packers defense has been such an underachieving unit this year, and the Packers offense has been underachieving as well, so I'm a little leery about laying the 10 points in that one. And in terms of the Eagles game against Dallas tonight, I kind of like the Eagles, but it's a game I'm going to watch as a fan tonight, and I really have no interest in that 7.5 point number. I'm a little leery about it, but I do lean a little toward the Eagles. So that'll do it today. I wish you well, and talk to you again tomorrow when we do this again. Good luck.